pushing boundaries.
I remember it was one very dramatic day. In those years were also the first years that we were doing our first patient studies with the Palma-Shot stent. One of our patients had a very severe bleeding complication and finally did not survive. And our board of directors of the hospital, they ordered me to stop the whole stent project unless we could find a good solution for this bleeding issue. It was just in those days that this publication appeared. And for me, that immediately brought me to the idea that would be an ideal entry site. If you can reach the coronary artery via the radial artery, then that whole groin problem is over. I wanted to collect my first 100 patients before presenting them for a major audience. I remember that the first 60 patients I did on my own in the hospital there. Of course, we did not know anything about long-term efficacy or mortality reduction, although with a bit of common sense, you can envision that if the patient has no major bleeding, outcome is better. It's very simple. But the most important thing was patient friendliness.
To build up a body of evidence as to the value of this procedure, Dr. Kimney continued to research it case by case, convinced it would help his patients.
That was at the American Heart Association the next year in '93. And they're guys with big names. No one knew me, you know, so I just had a very modest poster. And yeah, I could see from many people who were reading the poster, they were smiling, they liked the idea, but I could see in their eyes that they wouldn't do it next Monday, you know. So, but there were a few, and it was Jean Fagedet and Yves Louvard. And they really wanted to see this.
So I was looking this information coming from Los Angeles as very important. And after that, I was invited to, I gave put my interest in this technique, and I was going to Amsterdam at the same time as Jean Fagedet. We were together on this day. We went to the same visit to Ferdinand Quéméner and Gertian Larman, who was the associate of Ferdinand. And we spent the whole day in Amsterdam doing a transcranial approach for PCR.
They were brought in cath lab at the OLVG, and then they saw what I have seen with the first patient, that the patient was mobile immediately. Well, the other patients were all still in bed, and it was, for them it had the idea that they were seeing Jesus walking over water, you know. It was a miracle.
Dr. Jean Fagedet witnessed this small miracle. Through him, many doctors worldwide can learn about TRI.
The best exposure initially was given by Jean Fagedet because he was invited to do a live case from the TCT in Washington, in Toulouse. And I remember that he asked me, do you mind if I do a radial procedure? I said, well, how can you do that? Because you've never done one. And the TCT is within 2 weeks. And I'll be working for more than a year, over a year on this technique. So you better don't spoil it, you know, because otherwise the technique is dead.
I understand that he was anxious because, in fact, the TCT at that time was end of February. So it was end of February 1994. I visit Ferdinand in January 1994. The time to get the devices, etc. We start the first case in the early weeks of February. And when we decide with Jean-Marco to transmit 2 cases live from Toulouse to the TCT, we have already done 10 or 11 cases, each of us, no more. And when I said, when I announced to Ferdinand that we will do the transmission procedure, PCI procedure via right transradial approach, it was really anxious because it's true that it was the first time to do this in live demonstration during a large, really important course. And of course, there was a risk to fail the rhinal puncture, to fail the procedure in front of the, in the main arena of the TCT.
And then he went live in Washington. And that was, for me, that was the most nervous moment I remember. But he did a beautiful performance. And there more people started to see what they first heard about this. And so then many people had questions, well, how do you do that? How do you puncture? How this, how that?
Dr. Kimney's faith in this procedure was verified by many doctors around the world.
So in May 1994, that is my first impression, first time I able to watch in the live demonstration the Fajate. They do a TRI, and quite impressive because for me, I am familiar with transbrachial approach. So we actually started at October 1994. My teacher was, at the beginning, he's a little bit worried about, is it work? So he talked with me, just one word, he said, is it work? And I said, let me try. But he didn't stop me at that period. So from 1994 to 1995, we accumulated our series, more than 200 cases, including angio, including PCI for about 50-60% of this total series, and published.
小宮先生たちがですね、頭骨動脈アプローチで、造影をしたんですね、冠動脈造影。もちろん僕の耳にもその手首からやる治療っていうのがあるらしいということは入ってたわけですけども、まあどうせオランダ人大きい体だろうと、まあ手首の動脈も太いだろうと、で日本人とかには適用できないんじゃないかと漠然と思ってたわけですね。でそこでその台湾で、まあ、同じような体格ですよね、日本人とね。そういう患者さんに対してやってたのを見てすごく、まあ、衝撃を受けました。でこれは日本人でもできるだろうと、日本に帰国した時にですねこの病院で僕の部下たちにですね、もうこれからは PCI を手首からに切り替えるぞと、全面的に切り替えるぞと宣言してですね、で始めたわけです。
Famous Dr. Saito of Japan became my friend in '94, and I heard that he started doing a radial program in Japan way back in '95. I made it a point to go and observe him in his lab for some time, and I was convinced that if this particular procedure is good for small stature Japanese population, the Indians are almost the same and it should work well in the Indian population. With this concept in mind, I pursued developing a program with the help of Dr. Saito, and we established a solid program way back in year 2000 in India.
Back when we started in early 2000s, less than 1% of the procedures done in the United States were done transradially. And myself and Dr. Kwan had visited Dr. Patel's lab in India, and at that time Dr. Saito was also working in the lab. And between Dr. Saito and Dr. Patel, we became convinced that transradio was going to offer more comfort and better safety for our patients. One of the things that helped us develop this radial program was our willingness and our appreciation of the technique from both Dr. Saito and Dr. Patel. And we were convinced that this was something that was very important to teach.
For example, you have to make change. If you are the senior, if you are the boss, then you have to make decision. You want to move from femoral to radial, and the person who under your group, then they can follow you. If you don't change, they will continue doing the old things. So that's why we started the PI.
Each doctor worked in his or her respective country, increasing understanding of the value of this patient-friendly treatment.
We had some difficulties, but the problem is the personal difficulty, because the procedure was more complex than the transfemoral PCI. That's the first point. Second, some people did not understand at that time what was the interest, what was the advantage of the transfemoral access. And it's true that case after case, but this was not evident at the beginning of the experience, we demonstrate that the rate of bleeding complication was really reduced, and the main difference between transfemoral and transfemoral complication.
In 2001, with Joseph Ludwig in Germany, we tried to publish a series of 800 MI treated through transradio. And it was refused by Jacques, the journal Jacques, the famous journal. It was not reviewed at all. The editor sent us a letter saying this is not ethical, this article won't be reviewed. Which is, was the situation at that time. I modified a bit the article, and finally was published in 2001 in catheterization and cardiovascular intervention.
手首から PCR やるってことは日本の中でも誰も認めようとしなかったわけですね。それどころかもうそんな危険なことをやるのは許せないみたいに非難もされてたわけです。
The new procedure was initially perceived as a radical departure from conventional thinking. It was young doctors who responded to realize its potential as patient-friendly treatment.
例えば日本循環学会のシンポジウムのパネリストとかになった時にですね、僕はその TRI で患者さんを治療してるビデオを撮ってですね、すぐ患者さん歩いてる治療してその流れを全部撮って僕の発表の時その15分なら15分全部使ってやったんですよ。でそれはすごい衝撃をみんなに与えたんですね。若いお医者さんたちがそれを見て飛びついて、もうこれはもうこれからの PCR ってこうだっていうふうに多くの人が思ったわけですね。
Absolutely, this is particularly for the young generation. We have to continue the training to show that this is really a safe and effective route for coronary intervention. In the same time, and this I would like to give this word of caution, 100% of radial artery access is not possible, because we know that in certain patients we have difficult anatomy. We have some patients where it is very difficult to use the radial. In this case, we use the femoral. I think that really the main objective was the clinical outcome of the patient.
So by training the young people as they went out into the community and they started to perform radial procedures, that led to the older doctors realizing that maybe they had to learn these techniques to be competitive. Young people, as they're going out, have picked up on this radial technique because they've been trained in their fellowship. And now you're seeing this sudden growth from 1% when we first started. It was up to about 8% by 2006. And now I would say that the United States is probably closer to 25 to 30% of cases being done radially.
You know, TRI is now a guideline for STEMI and non-STEMI, and actually, according to the European Organization for Cardiology or European Society, for all PCIs. I think in the end it will be the default technique.
医療っていうのは一つ国境とかその歴史とか民族とかですね宗教とかいろんなバリアボーダーを超えていけるものなんですよ。僕個人でその治療できる人なんて数なんて知れてるわけですよ。もう一生の間にそんなね何万人も治療できるわけない。例えば TRI という技術をですね普及させればですね僕というみたいな人間が何十万人の医者で広がっていきますからそうすると何億という患者さんに影響すると。それが可能になるためには卓越したテクノロジーを持ってですねあるいは卓越した発想のもとにですね時には冒険もしながら前に進んでいくということが必要なんじゃないかなと思います。
What we are doing is not a job, at least not only a job. It has to be a passion because the interventional medicine that causes treatment of cancer, everything is moving now very, very quickly. So every day we have to think to do better tomorrow. This is of course not tomorrow, but in the future, in the near future, to do something better.
John, I must tell you that was absolutely sensational. You have an excited audience of approximately 1,700 people here watching you this morning.
You can say hello to Martin Leon and to Ferdinand Timoney. Say hello. Bye-bye.